Peace, peace, peace. What's good, family? It's your brother David here with Light Power, shining the truth of God in today's time. Family, I want to let y'all know why I started this platform and why I started this why I started this platform and this channel. And this video is going to be entitled "Returning to Your First Love" or something along that type of time. Returning to your first love. And I want to talk about this from my own personal experience because that's the best Bible for this. I'll let y'all know right now that in the journey of life, we have a lot of reasons why we start certain things. We might have a certain experience that we didn't prefer, so we want to see things actually unfold in a new direction. So because of that, we're going to do things a little bit differently just to get that outcome that we would desire. So over time, our focus desire kind of shifts over time. And sometimes it's for the best, sometimes it's not so good. But one thing I've noticed is that there's a true level of inspiration that comes from when you return to the first step that got you started. Now, it's not for the purpose of regressing, but it's for the purpose of clarifying intentions. And I say that because for me personally, I was just very much technically attuned when I was like raised. Always knew what to do with these gadgets and lights and LEDs and flashings and chargers and charging ports. I just already knew what to do with these things. And when I was kind of like in high school, my parents didn't really think that the kids should have any phones. So I went to go to school all the time, and everybody be on the phones. People talk about MySpace and all the things, and I didn't have a way to get onto those things. So like around college, I decided I was going to take the internet. So I started creating different platforms. But each platform I created was for the purpose of why I was creating it, you know. But then I would say, just to cut the story into manageable pieces, over time I started to think about how can I use this channel to get me what I need now, which is monetary things, right? And in that transitioning of focus, the intent behind this channel and amongst other works that I've created was diminishing because I was not focused on the very first point of affection, the very first point of attraction in this concept of talent or work or gift, right? So when I started realizing how I've drifted into creating a new purpose for this, I had to kind of watch why I was doing that, you know? And that's what makes me making this video right now, is to reclarify to myself and to everyone who's walking with us now. We've been walking for some time. It's been a good amount of time walking on this path in alignment with God and sharing that experience, sharing the good word, because there's no middleman needed for the creation and him's own self who's created him. So for me, right, I was raised in a traditional Christian home, and with the African accent. So there's a lot of cultural and traditional practices and beliefs and behaviors that we were all kind of cultured with because of the roots of this tree. And in the process of aligning to the truth of God within myself, I started noticing that what the infinite would say within me was not the same thing that they would say on the outside. There was a confrontation between beliefs in the space of what I knew I was here to do and versus what other people thought I should be doing now that I'm here. So I always had a rigidness about accepting and even joining with other people because I could never trust that they could see what I'm looking at, because I've have a good history that y'all are not looking at this shit the same way. You know what I'm saying? And there's no shade. It's just what it is. It is what it is. Like a painter and a baker, they're not going to see the same. The painter we might walk into the same house together, painter and baker. The baker would be like, "Oh man, these walls are so beautiful and white," and the painter is in his head like, "Yeah, this is a pearl white with a matte finish." He has a different type of sight that he got, that he can see the shit that you see, but he can see it better than you see it. You know what I'm saying? Because his eyesight is paint and pictures and colors and hex codes and for y'all don't know hex codes, those are the five. I think it's 5 or 6 digit color codes that basically identifies a color. All right. Now, so you have to understand that everyone is seeing from within themselves, and I'm walking as the mansion of God. So as I look at something, I see the mansion itself. I have to look at this tree. This tree talks to me about a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at this phone. This phone tells me a whole bunch of stories. You know what I'm saying? Like I look at a human being, I can understand their trauma. I can understand their state of mind. I can understand their upbringing. I don't have to ask them because they're already telling me. It's just about listening for me. Now, not everybody's like that, however it is. I just knew that I was looking at things a way that the people around me could not see. I just knew that because it was shown. It was obvious. It was explicit. It was it was so loud it couldn't be muted, to put the best words to it. So in my frustrations, I used to kind of like go back and forth between what people were telling me and what I felt like doing. And what I felt like doing is really what the I am is conspiring within me to do versus me hearing it from someone else. But I've never heard from someone else what I'm supposed to do. I don't think I've ever heard it. Unless I've already shown them what I'm doing and then they've affirmed me in some type of way. But that's probably the most I've gotten. And I know that because I am is who I am. And I am who I am. That's it. So I created this platform because I knew that there was more to the conversation of God that wasn't being talked about. And I knew because it wasn't being talked about, people were keeping themselves out of what we call the kingdom of heaven because they do not trust their own thoughts enough to recognize God. And when I say they don't trust their own thoughts enough to recognize God, I'm not talking about their personality, their personhood, and their personal preferences about how things are supposed to be and how I want it. I'm listening to myself. I'm not talking about the personhood, not the ego. And when you're able to have that quietness within your mind, you hear the voice of God because there's no other one to speak. Now, the essence of God being a total harmony, a holisticness of energy, we could reflect it as the constitution of the sun, always continually giving. But sometimes when we look up at the sun, we see clouds because the clouds help us understand what's behind the sun. So some people get in alignment with clouds all day long because they find themselves looking up to them, not knowing that they compose themselves of all the chemicals, all the elements that the cloud consists of as well. Basically what I'm saying is you could be a cloud or you could be the sun too. And when I had that realization within myself through different types of experiences, I just started noticing that church was an everyday concept and it was only seen as a Sunday service. And I couldn't unlook at that. I couldn't unsee that once I saw it. So from there, I started to have more things to share because I'm noticing that the colonialized mentality that we've accepted as organic people has typically caused us to shout or shut out the truth of God and to regurgitate the remembrance of Him. I say that because people want to only say and quote the Bible, right? Man, I love the Bible because it's a true book. It reflects man's higher self to his own self in story and form and picture. It's great. But then if you only hear what the word of the Bible is saying, you might miss on what God just said. Because God is talking right now. You know what I'm saying? God is talking right now. And if you quiet your mind, you will hear. God speaks to all of us. What is the infinite speaking within you? What is the eternal life speaking within you? What is God in his own great wisdom revealing within you? Because if you think that you're not going to be able to express the qualities of God, then you won't. Because as you believe, so shall it be done unto you. So I like the Bible because some of these things, I'm not going to rewrite them. What's the point of rewriting it? It's better that I quote it and know exactly where it's coming from so that somebody else can go find it as well and get the clarity that I just spoke. You know what I'm saying? So I created this platform because I knew that there was a way to help people understand the truth of the divine creator outside of regurgitating what someone else said. I felt like that was boring. It's like eating the same peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single day, but singing praises about it. Now you can enjoy your peanut butter and jelly. Maybe I'm not saying, you know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at how you choose to feed yourself. But I would like to expand our ideas of what is food. You get what I mean? That's a whole, you know what I'm saying? I have to speak in a picture and analogies and things. It's the way it comes, man. It's the way it comes. But yeah, that was my whole feeling tone. My whole feeling tone was there's more to this. And I'm not hopeful that there's more. I've already been shown that there's more. I just want to see if you can see. I just want to see if you can see it too. And I found that the more frequently I share what I've seen, the greater God in me, the frequency. Because if you see and you don't share, basically you're not acknowledging. You got to be a good acknowledger in this walk with God, one-on-one. No middleman involved. You got to be a good acknowledger. You got to be a great acknowledger. You got to be a great acknowledger. You got to be able to acknowledge this is not how I want it, but this is exactly how it is. And from that moment on, you can experience something different in the very next thought that you have. But until then, you can't find nothing else because you're lying to yourself. So yeah, that's why I created this channel. I created this channel to, it's so interesting too, because like when I'm about to explain something, I get into this space of like all of the information. And it's in a 360-degree fashion because it's weird if someone say, yeah, man, they have a beautiful house. And it was like, yeah, it's a beautiful brick house with 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. And the front door got what they call them, circle designs from Christmas. What do they call them things? It got an ornament on the door. You know, people could just tell you about the outside. Nah, I don't want to just know about the outside. I want to know about the backyard. I want to know about the side yard. I want to know about the garden in the front. And I also want to know about the foundation underneath. Then I want to know about the basement. Y'all got an attic? What y'all got in there? I love the ceiling too, you know. So I gotta, you know, I can't talk to y'all about a house that I seen on the outside. This shit don't make no sense. So I gotta go all up in that bitch and I gotta see what's up in here. You know what I'm saying? Then that way when I talk about it, people know where the cup's at. People know the way I illustrate and teach, people will know where the cups are. They'll know where the forks is. They'll know where the table mats are because of the way I illustrate. Because I want to see all of it so I can say all of it. See, people can't say what they haven't seen. So that's why people only talk about God being a man in the clouds because they've never found a man within. They've never found a source within. That's the reason why they only talk about it the way that they came from the without. It's just a way of seeing people from what they show. You know? Like, you can't, that's why they say you can't give what you don't have. Imagine someone trying to teach you how to build a business of making clothes, and they've never sewn. You know, the spectatorship, fly on the wall syndrome. Oh, my teacher told me about this. Oh, when you're supposed to sew, you're supposed to sit down at a 90-degree angle. But you haven't made a pair of socks before. You never made a pair of socks. So you got to be able to understand where people are based on where they say they're at, in pronunciation of the way in which they unfold their words. It's a way. It's a way. But with that being said, I didn't want to make this video run off into all the bushes because, you know, I wanted to make it solid and straight, but I think I've spoken enough. The primary reason why I created this platform is because I realized that in my own upbringing, there was not enough clarity on the spirit. There was not enough clarity on the whole nature of God. And as God became us in his whole nature, to first observe ourselves and reclaim in alignment with the divine, so that we could be all of ourselves in the world. And I just felt myself, I was in a assembly line of, I don't want this to sound anti-tradition or anti-religion, but I was in an assembly line of Christians who are only being taught to believe what they're told to believe, and not to really believe in the truth and the qualities of God as they are in this human form right now. And that's only because they didn't have it. So I knew that there was something to go get because they didn't have it. So they couldn't give it to me. So I knew that whatever I needed, I was going to have because I could find a need, but I couldn't find where it's going to come from. So I went inside and found everything for myself. It's so interesting, too. Like, the world will try to do everything that they can to hide you from yourself until you recognize that you don't need them to find you. And then from there, it's an eternal smile, it's eternal joy, and it's eternal youth. How can you let a man tell you to grow up when he's not who made you? Woo! I don't know even what that means. I just heard that shit crystal clear. And there it goes. Oh my goodness. Yo, take a deep breath with me real quick, family. Life itself. Whole time and experience oneness with God now. Peace be unto all of y'all. And may the chosen of God say, I have come. I am full. I am whole. I am complete. Ashe. Amen. Now, I would say namaste, but I'd be lying because I'm about to go. I'm going to talk to y'all. Peace.